Hey team, well, as you can see, we've got just a beautiful day here in Jackson Hole, and I'm gonna take you to one of the most photographed spots in Jackson Hole. And along the way, it's just gonna be a perfect day to stop, chat about the two ways we can start to think about training to get faster. And even more importantly and more potent is that these two ways also help develop the strength for health and longevity in running, helps prevent injuries, help promote our longevity and health as runners. So let's come along. Here we go. You know the drill. Let's get it.
1, 2, 3, 4. I was born to run to.
Yep, right along Antelope Flats, you can see we've got the Tetons staring us right in the face, and got a little, I don't know, low level layer of clouds over there. Quite beautiful as always here. It was 1 degree this morning when I went out to see the temperature and to start the truck. A little bit warmer than yesterday. Yesterday was -2. How am I going to keep my toes warm today? So what's on my feet? Today, all road running today. So I've got the Mount to Coast R1 road shoe. I just did a short video on this shoe. Check that out if you're interested in learning more about my experience in the Mount to Coast R1. And we're really starting to make that transition in weather. We had snow, as you can see, on the Tetons. Probably, well, we had snow on the valley, maybe 4 inches 2 days ago. So it's that time of year where things are really going to start changing quite progressively. So I gotta come out north and get some good dry road running in for as long as I can, and really start kind of that switch back to foundational training. So with this, just a really relaxed zone 2 run today. And so what's in my belly? I always talk about what's on my feet. Today I want to talk about what's in my belly. Since this is a nice, longer, easier, very relaxed run, lots of zone 2, I just sipped on an electrolyte drink as I traveled to the start point of this run. It's about maybe 20-minute drive. So just again, sipped on Death Dust, which is an electrolyte drink, and it's got about 9 grams of carbohydrates per serving. So not very much, just enough to kind of keep my blood sugar level stable. And during the run, the point is to run with no fuel and just allow my body to really kind of soak in all that fat burning intensity that I'm out for today. So that's my purpose today. But more importantly, we're gonna dive into the purpose of this video to help you. I mentioned I'm kind of switching back into foundational building. One key aspect that sometimes is often missed with athletes and runners during foundational is they always focus on zone 2 like I'm doing today. But there's 2 other components that we need to focus on during foundational building. One is speed and one is strength. We're going to combine the 2 today. There's 2 ways to generate speed. First way is through our cadence or through our frequency. How often do we strike the ground? I'm sure a lot of you have heard about cadence and kind of that magical number of 180. I like to think in terms of 170 to 180 based on your terrain. But the point is to get better through time. And what this is doing, why is frequency or cadence so important, is that the quicker And the more often you strike the ground, the more opportunity you give yourself to propel yourself forward. We don't want it too fast, and that's where the second component of speed comes in, and that's force production. How much force are you generating when you strike the ground and spring forward? And that's one way where we can improve our speed and our strength, is to improve our force production. And now force production includes your ability to generate elastic energy in the landing and then in the taking off. And what's crucial is that there's an in-between component to the landing and the taking off that is often missed. And that's the moment in time where we land and there's a short pause before we take off. And that's isometric strength of that pausing that is crucial to continue to train. And that's where the health, longevity, and strength component becomes important in training, or how we would train for speed. Okay, so I want you to see this video as, yes, we're talking about generating more speed, but maybe more importantly, convincing you that training for speed also helps your health and longevity and injury prevention with running. And so that isometric strength is super, super important. If you imagine striking the ground and spending a lot of time on that leg where there's a lot of decompression, I'm exaggerating a little bit. Let's say I land and I sink in, a lot of time spent on the ground before I can take off. Okay, that's what we want to avoid. We want to avoid a lot of this movement when that leg is on the ground. Okay, and so this is doing two things. One, it's providing better force to take off because we're spending less time on the ground and we're immediately taking off. But with that, now we're spending less time on each leg, which adds to our ability to have better cadence. What's often missed when runners are focusing on cadence is they just decide or think it's a decision to go out and run with better cadence. But cadence is a neuromuscular process, meaning you need to train the brain to be able to run quicker. It's not just a decision. So reducing this motion before we take off is critical to improving your cadence. And so we need to train that. Okay, so the quicker you get off the ground, the better cadence you're going to have and the better force you're going to have. So they work together. And again, they work together with speed and performance and health, longevity, strength. Okay, so there's one really good, I call them skills. If you're following the channel a lot, instead of drills, our mind goes to a certain way of thinking when I mention drills. So I like to call these skills. These are strength skills to allow you to improve upon everything we're talking about today. The first one is just doing some simple hopping, where initially we hop forward and get that pause, like a 1, 2, 3 pause, and then pop forward again, where there's that short pause. And what this short pause is doing is it's training that neuromuscular component we just talked about, your ability to absorb the landing well and then being able to take off. This landing and pausing is training that isometric strength, your ability to land and get off the ground quickly. It's counterintuitive. We have to exaggerate that for your body and your brain to get better at it. So start with that. Simple two-legged hops forward with that pause, that isometric pause, and go forward. And then we're going to progress to doing the same thing, but without the pause. Now we want to be nice and quick and land and hop forward and get off it as quickly as possible and not get a lot of that decompression with our knee and our whole leg to really help us to be quick and get off the ground quickly. Again, when we get a lot, let me stand up again. A lot of this, okay, that's allowing our body to go into a lot of dysfunction. If we land and have a whole lot of decompression here, see how my knee goes forward? Now we have a lot of quad work, not very much hamstring, and our hip flexors can get super tight. So when we don't have good leg stiffness or we have a lot of this movement, that's eventually going to cause a lot of dysfunction that is real common to run injuries and, quite honestly, just how you feel as a runner. Tightness, it's a bad cycle to get into. So that's where we want to just really do these quick hops without a lot of movement to train that body, train those legs, and most importantly, train the mind. That's why it's neuromuscular, to be nice and quick and get off the ground quickly. Okay? And then we're going to progress into a lot more specific and functional movements specific to running. So now we're going to do kind of the same thing, but now with one leg. We're simply going to start on one leg, hop forward and land on that same leg and stick the landing, just like a gymnast. Stick it, no movement. Count 1, 2, 3, hop forward again. So we're only hopping on one leg, from the same leg to the same leg, with, again, that isometric pause to really create a challenge for the legs, the neuromuscular system, to have to deal with that quick but abrupt change from that landing to the takeoff, that isometric strength that we're training. Okay, so then try that and do this in this sequence, so your brain starts to get used to it in this sequence. And then you're going to finish with same one-legged sticky hop forward, same leg, but eliminate that pause. And now it's going to be nice and quick and jumping forward nice and quickly. Try to avoid trying to hop for a lot of distance. Okay? Just settle into a distance that's natural to you, that allows you to be nice and quick and get off that leg quickly. That's the key. And again, what this is now doing is that we're really specifically and functionally training your ability to provide more force into the ground to propel yourself forward, which lengthens your stride, which in concert with your frequency and your cadence improves your speed and improves your health. All right, so try this sequence. It's a great warm-up because it warms up the brain as well. You can do it in the middle of a run. I'm doing it here in the middle of my run, and it's just a great way. Just get creative with it. There's no real good right or wrong when to do this. It can be done as a warm-up and kind of sandwiched in your run. And when I do tutorial videos like this, I inevitably get questions of how many sets to do, how many reps to do. With this, maybe 2 or 3 sets, and just work at your own level of ability of maybe 8 to 10 of these. We don't want to create fatigue. That's the key. So less is more. So you can remain quick. You can remain good. If you start to fatigue and get sloppy, that's when you really want to cut it. So you're really looking at 8 to 10 reps for each of these skills. And then I know you're asking, well, how many times a week? Maybe 2 or 3 times. And then notice how good you feel, especially the brain-body connection after doing these while you're out running. I like to do some short 10, 15, 20-second sprints to tie it all together and make it as functional as possible. Okay, as promised, I'm at Mormon Row, the site of two iconic barns here in Jackson Hole along Antelope Flats at the base of the Grand Teton National Park. And these two barns are some of the most photographed pictures of all of Jackson Hole. And why is that? Well, it's easy. There's plenty of parking. You should see this place in the summertime. There's cars parked all along the road. You just have to park, get out with your camera, walk a little bit, and snap the photo. It's easy. Everybody's doing it. Everybody wants to do what's on Instagram. This is kind of like zone 2. Everybody knows they should do it. Everybody probably does it. But if you look across the street, right there is the Grand Tetons. So many trail access over there. It's harder to get to. There's trails, there's steep trails, but you are exposed to so many different ways of looking at the Grand Teton. And that's kind of the message today, is that we all know zone 2 is important during base building. Easy running, build that foundation. But what is often missed is what's across the street, what's in the mountains, what's on the trails, and seeing things in a different way. Maybe you've never been told. Maybe you're a tourist coming to Jackson Hole and you know about the barns, but you don't know about all the trails in Grand Teton National Park. That's like training for speed and strength during your foundational base building. So don't be a tourist with your running and focusing on one thing. Be a local. Be exposed to all the different ways of looking at the Grand Teton and your running. Now we can understand the importance of speed and strength during foundation building. It's like going across the street and seeing the Tetons in a different way. Okay, it's going to catapult your running, whether you're looking for performance and speed or health, longevity, and strength. All right, hope you enjoyed it. That's all I got for you today. In honor of this last message, I'm going to go home a different way. So maybe stay tuned if you've got the time for the rest of this video. I'm going back a way I've never done before. So kind of, again, in the theme of this video of experiencing something new with training and in life. All right, over and out from Mormon Row, Grand Teton National Park, Jackson Hole, Born to Run World. See you guys. Okay, this is interesting. I think I found a mountain lion track, and some naysayers are going to say there's a little bit of claws there, that it's a canine, but I don't think so. Let's take a look. See, I think you could argue that maybe those are claws, but I think they're really separate. Look how big that is. But now, look at this one. I think that's definitely feline. A little bit more faint, which is interesting. Yeah. Ooh, here. Yeah, I've never seen one maybe this late in the year, but this makes sense that there's a lot of wildlife down getting some good fuel before winter comes. So if you're following along the channel, you know one of my big goals is to see a mountain lion. I've seen many tracks, but I struck out this year, at least up to this point. So that's always going to be a goal. And looks like he or she's still walking along this way. But all right, I'm going to carry on. Okay, I'm still seeing it, and you can see, here's one, here's the other. Look at that length, okay? And then look at this. See how rounded it is there. Another big paw. Yeah. In the winter, quite often when I'm up here, I hear a pack of wolves. So there's definitely, I'm near Kelly, Wyoming, and there is a Kelly wolf pack. Okay, I'm still following the tracks, but now I'm seeing what could possibly be part of a litter walking with the mom, but they're a little bit harder to see, obviously, because they're not quite as heavy and making an imprint into the mud. Oh well, always fun. Speaking of mud, it's probably gonna be really muddy, but doing it. Never been down this section before. And this should spit me out right at the truck. So I've done one big loop in the hole. All right, since you've stuck with me this long, you must be interested. Let me give you a lay of the land. We got the Tetons to the north. Over here, tucked in a corner, is Kelly, Wyoming. That big peak is Jackson Peak, and just south of the ridge there is Jackson, the town, and just 2 miles further is my house. So this is the northern end of the hole.